Coming up, we talk New Year's entertainment coming to Disney World. We discuss the New York Times write-up on Disney's theme park investments. We review the announcements from this past weekend's D23 event. And we give our thoughts on this year's Very Merry Christmas Party. All that and more on this episode of WDW Opinion. Cue the music.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
This is the podcast where two friends, Connor,
You are a child plaything!
and Hank,
You are a sad, strange little man. Can you have my pity?
share their opinions, tips, and stories about anything and everything at Walt Disney World.
Tristan, what could go wrong?
Get ready, because this is WDW Opinion.
We're in the tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Hello and welcome to episode number 19 of WDW Opinion, the podcast where friends talk Disney. We share our Disney World opinions, and then you share yours. Let us know what your Disney World opinions are. Follow us on social media at WDW Opinion to share your thoughts with us. And visit WDWOpinion.com to check out our latest blog posts on all things Disney and to see what we're up to in between episodes. I'm your host, Connor Brown, and I'm joined by my co-host and Disney partner in crime, Mr. Hank Molsky. Hank, we took a brief hiatus, but we were together for that hiatus. How's it being back away from Orlando, up in the cold north of Cincinnati?
Oh, Connor, I'm just very, very, very depressed. But that's no different than usual.
Oh, you weren't depressed when we were in Disney together.
I'm
we
talking
just
about
got
in
back.
Ohio.
Well, I guess we got back a week ago, and there's been just a lot of stuff we had to catch up on, whether it was work or home life. So we took a brief break.
Depression.
Last week, but
We had to ride the Tragical Express.
Tragical Express back to the Orlando International Airport. But
Yeah.
I think overall we had a good trip. We
packed a lot in. We
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff to share.
Yeah, we do. And you'll definitely start hearing all about it over the coming weeks. We're going to try and span it out so that we don't run out of content right off the bat, so that we can stretch this trip that we had. Give you plenty of
For the
episodes
next 2
out of it.
years.
Yeah, for the next 2 years, you're going to be hearing about the minutia of every single aspect of our trip.
Yeah, hope everyone can really dive in. We're going to go minute by minute over the 4 days.
Absolutely. Today is no exception. We're going to be talking about something we did while on our trip. We've got some also live recordings, I guess, that we did down there that we'll be rolling out over the coming weeks. A couple dining reviews. We'll do some overall trip reviews, some resort reviews. There's a lot on our plate, that's for sure.
Yes. And Connor, God, we got a lot of news to really dive deep in tonight.
We do, which is why let's just get started with news to opinion. This is our weekly segment where we each pick a Disney news story from the past week to discuss and share our thoughts and opinions on. My Disney news story of the week is from the Disney Parks blogs. It's entitled Ring in the New Year with Tasty Celebrations at Disney Parks. They talk about a Disneyland extravaganza at Napa Rose at Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa, which is supposed to be an incredible dining location, by the way, but I'll focus on the Walt Disney World Resort. This New Year's, you can celebrate at Flying Fish at Disney's Boardwalk. If you're looking for a night full of family, friends, and elegance, then Flying Fish at Disney's Boardwalk is the New Year's event for you. Celebrate with a multi-course prix-fixe menu with dishes such as aged cognac lobster bisque, wild Alaskan king blue crab, Chilean sea bass, and more. For dessert, you'll love the Cocoa Beach. Ooh, that's nice. Or the Florida Sunset. You can call 407-939-3463, which is 407-WDW-DINE to book. You can also
There you go.
Head over to the New Year's Eve Bash at Atlantic Dance Hall at Disney's Boardwalk, where they'll be having a live DJ. You'll see the Epcot fireworks, light bite menu, 2 beverage vouchers, and a champagne toast at midnight.
Lovely.
This one did pique my interest, though. There was one at Monsieur Paul, which is the exclusive dining location above Chefs de France in Epcot. And then there's also a Fort Wilderness Resort beach dessert party. But the one thing I was interested in is the New Year's Eve dinner at World Showplace Pavilion at Epcot. On December 31st, bid adieu to 2018 at World Showplace Pavilion, where a wonderful New Year's Eve dinner buffet awaits.
Oh, that means it's going to be expensive.
Exactly. A smorgasbord of enticing entrees is guaranteed to please any palate. From seafood mac and cheese, interesting, and fried chicken breasts with corn gravy to gluten-free options. Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. Kids are welcome with chicken fritters, meatballs, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, you'll obviously be able to see the incredible Epcot fireworks. And those are pretty incredible fireworks just in general, no matter where you're seeing it. I remember on New Year's when I lived there, I was in my apartment by myself alone. No need to judge. But
cheers.
I live far away from the park. Well, I didn't live that close to the parks. I lived probably 10, 15-minute drive away. I thought I was under attack when these fireworks went off. They were so loud from where I was, but they're pretty epic. These things I think are good just because they're announcing them now, which means, you don't have to compete with the 180 days out. But it's also good because the parks are going to be so packed then. Having a guaranteed experience that's going to last longer than, just a standard dinner, I think is always a good benefit.
Yeah. I think it's funny for a Disney person. I feel like the second that you hear buffet, though, you kind of go, ooh, overpriced food. They want to put me somewhere very exclusive. But it's a good location then, though, too.
Absolutely. We'll talk about it in our main segment a little bit, but have you heard about the Tony's Town Square dinner with Tony that goes on only at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party?
I did, thanks to another podcast I listened to maybe an hour before this.
Exactly, and I listened to the same one probably at the same time.
There we go.
Basically, it's you pay the ticket price to get into Very Merry, which is a hard ticket event, and then you pay another fee
insane
to go dine at Chef Tony's, which has always been bad. I know it's getting better. I've heard reviews, but people have always...
Connor did not sugarcoat that one.
No.
It's always been bad.
Bad. And then it was interesting because it's technically not a full dining meal, you know what I mean? Like they say it's heavy hors d'oeuvres, and then they list like meatballs and pizza and things like that. So you can totally get, food out of it. I think you can get enough bang for your buck probably. But the interesting thing is it's unlimited beer and wine too.
Interesting. I did
So, but with Disney, there's always going to be another add-on experience for you to kind of dabble in if you want.
Right. And that's the thing is with these prices, I feel like the food is kind of, I'm sure you agree with this, is that it's kind of the afterthought of these events. Typically, it's like Chef Mickey's, expensive. The food is the afterthought at a Chef Mickey's breakfast because you're there for the characters, or a fireworks dinner or a New Year's dinner, these type of things. The food almost tends to be an afterthought, but it's comforting to hear when they try to elevate that in some aspect where you're trying to get a little bit more value out of it.
Anytime there's an addition to it, right? A fireworks dessert party, the dessert is secondary, like you were saying, Hank, with all those. But these other options, New Year's Eve at Flying Fish, or at Monsieur Paul, or in California at Disney's Grand Californian at Napa Rose, that's definitely going to be for those who want to put the food first on New Year's.
Yep.
I remember when I worked at Disney, there was a crazy New Year's bash that was like some ridiculous price like $300 a person. And it was like Vanessa Williams. You know Vanessa Williams? She was singing there.
Interesting.
It was, they announced it, they went all out, and then they've never done anything like it again, really.
They must not have sold tickets then. Or else they'd be doing it again.
Exactly. So plenty of options if you are headed to the parks on New Year's. Hank, what's your news story of the week?
News, relative term, news story, definitely had to bring this up. On Friday, November 16th, the New York Times ran a highly reposted, talked about, not think piece, but report from Orlando. The title of that piece was "Disney is spending more on theme parks than it did on Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm combined." Kind of a lead-in to the Destination D event over the weekend that took place. And this piece by the New York Times got a lot of play online, digitally. Something that woke up to, anyone that listens to this podcast, no stranger here, knows how much Disney is investing into their parks right now, all across the world. But the New York Times, seeing it like, an A-list publication go after this report and really dive deep on it, and seeing a lot of people being like, wow, I didn't know about that, or I didn't know about this. There's nothing small about Walt Disney World. It is made up of 4 separate theme parks in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, near Orlando, with combined annual attendance of 56 million. The resort sprawls across 25,000 acres, an area nearly twice the size of Manhattan. A steel beam needed to build an Avatar attraction last year was so massive that Disney had to borrow crawler transporters from NASA. Now Disney World and Disney's global vacation empire is about to get much, much bigger. With its television business facing significant challenges in the streaming age and lots of popular movie franchises to put to use, Disney is spending billions to supercharge its theme park division, which has emerged as a surprisingly strong moneymaker. Connor, as I said, we talk about this all the time, but now it is being cast into the spotlight on a big stage. Destination D obviously made a big splash. They rolled out a bunch of headlines over the weekend that definitely caught the eyes of even the casual Disney Parks fan. And seeing something like this is pretty cool. It kind of validates a lot of the stuff that we, dig through on blogs and, chat boards and that type of thing. And to see people talk about it, throughout the web and throughout, just even, I had a couple coworkers swing by my desk today and be like, "Hey, I saw the New York Times report. Pretty cool stuff happening." I'm like, "Yeah, no kidding, man."
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is, Hank. It's validation. It's the New York Times, the failing New York Times, might I add.
There you go.
But the New York Times, they're, big, gigantic, interactive article. They put a lot of effort behind this, and it just took off. But it just validates, what we've been saying. Right now, the Disney Corporation is firing on all cylinders. I think, save for TV, when it comes to like ESPN and ABC, I think almost everything else is pretty much hitting on par or well above what it needs to do to turn a profit. What did it say? During 2018 fiscal year, the Walt Disney Parks and Resorts had an operating profit of $4.5 billion, which is an increase of more than 100% from 5 years earlier. So for comparison, Disney Media Networks, home to ESPN and ABC, had a profit of $6.6 billion, which was a 3% decline. I think that's crazy because, yes, we're talking about billions, and yes, it still was 2 whatever billion more that ESPN and ABC brought in, but the 4.5 billion was people having to go to a destination. They just didn't have to sit on their couch to consume it for them to make a profit off of it. You had to actively fly, drive, get there, and give them your money. That just goes to show how crazy these theme parks are going to be getting because they know that they can make money off of it.
Yes, and because of how much money that they are making in these areas, they know they're going to have to continue to expand. Connor, the other thing that I found interesting about this number that they kind of hid in the title is it was like a huge number that Disney is spending. They're spending $24 billion on this expansion. They doubled that on their acquisition of Fox. Disney is just spending a lot of money right now. A lot of money. I don't want to say it's like a golden age, but we're definitely in a spending age? I mean, what kind of age would you define this as right now?
I mean, I think it's it's not really a Disney Renaissance, because I feel like a Disney Renaissance focuses, when we often talk about that, it focuses on one aspect. It was, the Disney Renaissance was the revamp of animation, right, of filmmaking. Right now, it seems like because everything is heading on all cylinders, whether it's the films, the experiences, the streaming services, things like that, the purchases, the acquisitions. This just seems like it's kind of like a company golden age, right? They've never dabbled in more different elements, different lines of businesses before. They've never had more companies under their umbrella that are also profiting. Lucasfilm, even though their last film wasn't the biggest hit, still brings in a ton of money. Pixar is killing it. Marvel is killing it. Fox is soon to be, bringing in a lot of cash for Disney. Because of that, I think they're just willing to continue to double down on that, because you can't ride this wave forever, obviously. And they're smart. They know that, but they also know a incredible peak of spending $24 billion in 5 years. If they produce really, really, really great stuff in the parks, that can sustain them for 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yeah. And then pivoting away, because the money is it's the headline of the story. It's the draw of why people would, wake up and see why this is a thing that's happening. The money validates what we're talking about. It's validation. It's validating Disney is going after this. It's yada, yada, yada. But what I wanted to talk about a little bit too is how we, have these, it's in the limelight, and it's people are now that aren't necessarily theme park fans are catching wind of what's happening. You're like, wait a second. Disney World and the Disney parks all around the world are just as significant as an investment as the movies that, permeate all aspects of pop culture. And all of a sudden, Disney's saying, hey, by the way, we're spending just as much, if not more money on the parks, which you guys should totally be going to. Validation, Connor.
Exactly. It's one of those things where people always hate when classic things go away at Disney, right? And they should. It is sad to see classic things like we're hearing Spaceship Earth might get a redo. We've seen other attractions close in recent years to make way for new things.
Stitch's Great Escape.
Yeah, oh boy.
Stitch's Great Escape.
We're so upset that that's going away. But they're bringing in more IP focus. That's important to continue to get new people in. While there's, 56 million people visit their parks every single year, there's still so many more people in the world who have never been to a Disney park. And when you bring in things like Star Wars, like Marvel, like Toy Story, as they continue to do, Frozen, as they continue to do, these things are going to pull in the new people that they're desiring. And even if the diehards are upset that some classic attractions might go away, what they have to realize is this is going to be good for Disney, and each new thing we get is going to be a better experience for us as well.
Yeah, I just look at I'll kind of wrap it up. One of the colleagues that passed this off to me was my boss, who worked at Disney 25 years ago. He was there for the 25th anniversary. Mm-hmm. And he was like, this is incredible. I had no idea how much is happening. Big parks fan, obviously worked there, follows stuff, knows everything about there is to know about it, but still has that sentiment with wow, I should go back for the 50th. I got to get down there. And I think that there's going to be that awakening even more so. Obviously, with the revenue growth over the past couple of years, that awakening is happening, and it's going to be an absolute tidal wave over the next couple of years.
And there's so many new things, and we keep hearing about even more announcements, which is going to tie perfectly into our middle segment. For today's middle segment, I wanted to discuss the announcements coming out of this past weekend's D23 event celebrating Mickey Mouse and his 90th birthday. The Destination D event, put on by the Disney fan club D23, looked to celebrate the history and legacy of the Big Cheese as he turned 90. But just like its much larger semi-annual expo, the D23 Expo, there were plenty of announcements to go around. Some we already knew about and were more just confirmations than anything, but there were others that were completely new theme park announcements. So the Destination D happens in the off years. It's much smaller off years of the expo. So last year we had the D23 Expo out in Anaheim, big gigantic 4-day event. On the off years, we have a Destination D one, which is almost always at the Contemporary in Orlando. The last one was theme park based. I can't remember what it was about, but then this one was all about Mickey Mouse.
Probably Shanghai. Something
like that. They had, panels about Mickey, but things got kicked off pretty much from the beginning with Bob Chapek, the Disney Parks Experiences and Consumer Products Chairman, gave some exciting news regarding upcoming and highly anticipated attractions and shows that will be coming to the Disney parks soon. So I just wanted to dive into the announcements that were made.
Let's go.
When it comes to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, we knew that there were going to be 2 attractions, but we didn't know the full names yet. Our first one, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. This ride will allow guests to take one of 3 unique and important roles aboard the famous ship, the Millennium Falcon. This, Hank, seems like Mission Space elevated, to New Beyond, right?
Yeah, it's like Mission Space, Star Tours, maybe some elements of a Flight of Passage in there.
Or Soarin', stuff like that.
But I can't think of Connor. Is there any attraction where you choose the destination or your fate as much as this in the park?
No, definitely not.
So. Yeah.
And the other major attraction they have, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, will let guests join an epic battle between the First Order and the Resistance, including facing off against Kylo Ren himself. I think this is going to be maybe a trackless ride system. So you actually get into a car and you'll go all throughout this thing. It might play off of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which screens and things like that, but also different elements. This is where we're going to see the AT-ATs that were covered up. But the big thing about this is what we have in the Play Disney Parks app, which I think has been awful. There hasn't been a fun thing that I've played on it yet, other than just exploring it when I'm not at Disney. This is going to kind of put the Play Disney Parks apps over the top, because that's going to be following you and what happens to you in Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Your actions will have consequences, and the Play Disney Parks app is going to basically have you build your story in this new area, Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I really like the 2 videos that they put out for each of these rides over the weekend. No longer than 30 seconds each, maybe less. But it did give us a few little hints about what's to come.
That's what we need. We just need those small 30-second little things just sprinkled out here and there, just to keep it going.
I'll say I think we've seen every inch of the Millennium Falcon ride that we're going to. I feel like I've been shown so much of that now. Not that it's an overwhelming amount, but I feel like our tastes of that ride are gone. Yeah. I think that they've teased everything that they need to. It's very clear, even the ride model. So it looks like you're very much in a car. There's 3 seats on either side, like a minivan setup almost, with a lane up the middle where everyone sits on it. There's a big, very immersive screen at the front. Tons of switches and buttons to hit.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it looks awesome. Yeah. For those of you that are on the Facebook page, we'd like to ask how many buttons do you think you're going to push? Are you excited about the button pushing?
How many buttons do you want to push? Because I'll just keep hammering away at those bad boys in there. My
Yeah.
actions will
that
have
looks awesome.
consequences, and I'm going to push a lot of buttons.
Yeah. And then this is the other thing is, Connor, you started to talk about Rise of the Resistance. I kind of have like this totally different picture in my mind right now, because I don't think there's like much detail about it at all. Is there? I mean,
No.
I don't think you're wrong about trackless, but have we had that confirmed?
No,
at
no,
all?
no. That's just
Yeah,
my
that could be it.
speculation. I feel like at some point there was discussion of like the transport vehicles, and that's what you were kind of in.
Sure.
Or there's also been discussion of how you're going to get to the Millennium Falcon, and that's going to be like an own experience to itself. But this ride, I just feel like the way we've been seeing like aerial photos from, theme park bloggers and Twitter people, and the way you've seen like the AT-ATs, which are those big gigantic robots you've seen in Star Wars films, constructed and then enclosed in the building, I feel like that'd just be a perfect path for like a trackless ride vehicle.
Yeah, and then I keep on seeing, I don't know, but trackless is definitely an element of this ride in some capacity, because there's too much detail that's been unveiled where there's not tracks. Like there's obviously not a roller coaster in this thing. There's not some omni mover in the space. It's either trackless.
It's a water ride. It's a water ride.
It's a water ride. The thing that I keep picturing in my head, which is so weird, I almost like see Disney unleashing like a dozen people or something into like a room and then exploring it with like AR and VR gear and having like lightsabers and stuff, where there's like these big immersive screens and there's animatronics that you can stumble across. It's almost like a play place.
Yeah.
Not so much a ride.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to like piece together, like maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe you move into trackless vehicles that like transport you from, I don't know.
That does sound interesting. I don't know how, feasible it is or what have you. There's a Poseidon's Fury at Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Orlando. It's a fully walk-through attraction. So you have a guide, and he goes certain places. He's like, go into the next room. Go into the next room. I'll meet you there. And there's screens.
Yeah.
That is closing that attraction. But it was definitely a unique experience when I've done it the few times that I've done
It's
it.
kind of like almost what I see a little bit in that video. There was like so much open space and the screens and stuff you could hit. And then Connor and I have said this before, patents mean nothing. But there's been so many patents pushed through about like Star Wars AR and VR developments, for like walking through different terrains and using lightsabers on a ride. If there was one spot in the entire world where you were able to hold a lightsaber, don't you think it would be this ride?
Oh, yeah.
So they may have some element of that. I don't know how it's going to happen.
We'll see. We will see. But there were more Star Wars announcements, too.
Oh, gosh. Everyone's like, thank God they're moving on to the next story.
Oh, well, we got the...
Not so fast.
Not so fast, no. We got a sneak peek at the Star Wars resort that's coming to Walt Disney World. We got pretty much one picture, and this is great. I'm just so glad. They're going to have valet parking. Thank God. The fully immersive Star Wars hotel, where you're basically on a spaceship in the Star Wars universe, will have valet. We'll have a great porte cochere entranceway, as they say. Yeah, it looks like in the artist rendering, we got a couple minivans there, some families getting ready for the, $800 a night room. It looks great. But, we really haven't heard anything else.
Something about like a cruise ship feeling experience.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be like you won't be able to leave. That sounds a lot creepier coming out, but like a cruise ship, you don't have to go to the ports of call to experience, everything. And I know a lot of people don't.
I mean, hey, there's lifeboats on this thing, but we're not going to give you a bus to the port of Nassau, folks. There's no bus to Disney Springs.
No, but that's definitely much further down the line.
I don't know.
So we'll see how that goes. But as they were celebrating Mickey Mouse's 90th birthday, they had to touch on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is an attraction that's going to open in fall 2019. So we're pretty much 1 full year out from this, what they're calling 2D cutting edge, 2.5D attraction that is taking over the Chinese theater, which was the home to the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah. I feel like I'm mildly excited for the Runaway Railway.
I think it'll be cool. I like these kind of attractions. The ones that
Sleeper pick.
Exactly. I can't say that this is going to be an e-ticket attraction. I think it's going to have e-ticket elements, but I think because it's opening at the same time as Star Wars, 1, it's going to pull people in, which is going to be great. But 2, it's going to be compared to the thing that's opening, right around the same time. So
maybe a consolation prize if you didn't get in line early enough.
Exactly. We also have a couple.
At least we can go on this.
Yeah. This is new, so we can go on that. Yeah. Mickey and Minnie's Surprise Celebration will run at Magic Kingdom from the January 18th through September 30th. And this is a new thing that will include new food, merchandise, and entertainment, and a dance party where you'll be able to meet the birthday boy and Minnie in their new celebratory outfits. So
not a surprise anymore to Mickey.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise every day, apparently, which I don't think will be a surprise. There is a new nighttime cinematic experience coming to Hollywood Studios on May 1st to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the park. The Wonderful World of Animation will use top-notch technology to guide guests through a journey of more than 90 years of Disney animation, including the important fact that it was all started by a mouse. So this is going to be on the Chinese theater, from what we've been led to believe, kind of like what they do now with their Cinematic Spectacular, I think it's called. Or that might be what Universal calls theirs. Their Star Wars
Galactic
things.
Galactic something.
Galactic, yeah. And Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam takes place there as well. Mm-hmm. But this looks cool. Anytime there's, more Disney animation being brought to the parks in this kind of capacity, whether it's through music or things like this, I'm always a fan.
Quick thought on this, just because I know we got to keep rolling through all this news. At some point, I just kind of go, with all the changes that you make to these shows at the Chinese theater, could you please just give me an update to Fantasmic? I'm not asking for it to go away, but just like, maybe add some new characters type of thing.
Yeah, I think
with the dollars and the time and everything like that with me, it just kind of says, please update it. I don't know.
The unfortunate part is it needs an update. Fantasmic, I still think is great, but it can't have an update right now like, Rock and Roller Coaster can't have an update. It's just, and especially in the early stages of Galaxy's Edge, it's just a capacity beast. It can just
gotta eat those people.
Eats up so many people. When it has 1 to 2 shows a night, it's a gigantic theater. So
yeah, makes you kind of wish there's just like, I wish they had updated this a couple years ago. Now maybe some people are saying that there too. We should have updated that when we had the chance.
Probably. But there's additional nighttime entertainment coming before the major new show of Illuminations at Epcot debuts in 2020. There will be a limited time experience premiering in fall 2019 called Epcot Forever, which doesn't really make any sense if it's going away, but it's Epcot Forever and it'll only be there for a few months. It will be set to classic Epcot tunes, beginning with a spark of imagination that quickly grows into an epic spectacle of fireworks, music, lighting, lasers, and this was interesting, choreographed special effects kites. What do you think that means? A little drone action, maybe?
Maybe. A couple of them, at least.
And then the official replacement of Illuminations, which we still don't have a confirmed name on, will debut in 2020. And will be a celebration of how Disney music can inspire people from around the world, featuring massive floating set pieces, custom-built LED panels, choreographed moving fountains, lights, pyrotechnics, and lasers. So that's pretty awesome. I'm excited for it. It looks.
We've talked about this.
So even though we have 2 new nighttime shows coming, there was some exciting news, other news for Epcot, including the France Pavilion's Ratatouille ride will be named Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. I'm looking forward to that. We just got the name, but there's also a new show coming to the pavilion, Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along, which will run concurrently with the current Impressions de France. And O Canada and Circle Vision 3D will also be getting a new film. I like how they're changing these up. I think
That's good. Yep.
these are all hidden gems, but again, it's one thing where it's still going to be a new experience. You know, even though it's just a new film, it's something to go and experience, and you know, other people will go get, you know, when the line for Ratatouille is 2 hours, why don't we go into the Beauty and the Beast sing-along right now? Right. Sure, let's do that.
And they also talked about, I think, some places that it would seem that O Canada would get the Circle Vision update that the Chinese theater or the China Pavilion has.
So
that's seamless.
I don't know if there's been any update on that China film though.
Yeah.
But
Well, the technology of the screens.
let's hope so. Yeah, Martin Short really banking he comes back though. That'd be great.
Yeah.
To reprise his role. But kind of wrapping up, I think, with a couple new resorts and the gondola update. So they have announced that the name of the Disney Vacation Club and hotel, or I guess it's both, right? The Deluxe and Disney Vacation Club Hotel will now be called Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge that is going to be over by Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness Cabins and Campgrounds. And the Riviera Resort is projected to open in fall of 2019. And in fall of 2019, the Disney Skyliner Gondola system is set to debut. So fall of 19, coming online, we've got the Riviera Resort, the gondolas, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Galaxy's Edge, the new Epcot Forever, and that's about it. But that's a lot of stuff to be coming online around the same exact time, don't you think?
Yeah. Connor, interesting thought. So we've kind of grown accustomed the past 2, maybe more than 2 years, with Disney rolling out a pretty hard promotion period, about, let's say, April through May, to drive home summer visits to the parks. Take a look at all these dates, and it becomes pretty apparent that it's looking pretty thin for summer of 2019. Does it appear to you that Disney is kind of throwing in the towel for summer of 2019 and saying, you know what, we're going to just rock it with Disneyland for the second half of 2019, and everything is going to be so massively huge in the latter half of 19, at the very, very end of 19 and 2020 that we don't care about. We're going to start saving our bucks for a promo of summer 2019.
Absolutely. I wrote an article for the blog at the start of this summer, and it was entitled Why This Summer or Next Summer is the Summer to Go to Walt Disney World. In the past, it's been, don't go during the summer. You know, it's too hot. It's too crowded. There's always a promotion. There's always a new thing that's opening in the summer. I said this past summer, yes, we have Toy Story Land, but a lot of people are waiting until Galaxy's Edge. Next summer in 2019, none of that is going to be open yet, and I think that that's going to be a pretty good summer to go. If you can't pull the kids out of school, if you can't take time off, if summer is your only option, then summer 2019 might be the best summer for many, many years to come.
Yeah. That's not the way they'll market it.
No.
That's the way that we'll market it to you.
That's right.
Come before you're overwhelmed by crushing crowds.
Because we spit the truth here on WDW Opinion. So Destination D had an incredible lineup of new announcements. It's just building on the anticipation that we already have for all these new things. It only makes you more and more excited to finally start seeing them, and we're about a year out before we start seeing some pretty big things coming to the parks. Now it's time for our main segment. Christmas and the holidays make a magical place in Disney World even more magical. Holiday decor graces the parks and resorts, and festive activities bring a whole new life to the Orlando resort. One of the most popular and best events of the year takes place during the holidays at Magic Kingdom Park. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is an after-hours event that takes place on select nights in November and December. For me, it is the perfect representation of Disney parks at their finest. It's a great opportunity to experience classic rides and characters with little to no wait, while also experiencing special entertainment you won't find during regular operating hours. Hank and I had the opportunity to attend one of the first Very Merry Christmas parties this year, and we wanted to share our thoughts and opinions on it. Hopefully this info can help you if you're still deciding on whether or not you want to attend this event this year. We're all about the Christmas cookies today on WDW Opinion. So Hank, you've been to the Christmas party twice now, right? Mm-hmm. So once a few years ago and then again last week. What would you say is the one thing that you just absolutely love about it? You know, the one thing that kind of encapsulates the event for you?
So I've actually been thinking a little bit about this. This is something that's kind of stuck with me since our trip, Connor. I think that there's something about, and this is something that's not rolled out in the standard promo. You can sense it a little bit when you talk about the wait times and stuff. But I think the Christmas party, at least for me, especially early in the year, gives me a chance to visit the parks of old a little bit. And like I'm kind of romanticizing about it with the fact that people kind of just explore Magic Kingdom when it's open. People just go about, hang out for the parade, go into some shops, eat some food, kick up their feet, observe the lights. Everyone. You don't rush to all the rides. You don't make sure all your fast passes. There's no fast passes.
Yeah.
You don't make sure all your fast passes are planned out. You're not rushing from place to place. It's a chance to hit pause in the Magic Kingdom and kind of just experience it, which love every second of Disney World. You don't get that as much anymore. And that's what I really loved about the Christmas party.
So these events are, hard capped at a certain number of people. In the grand scheme of things, it's really not a lot of people that they allow into the parks, which is great. You can kind of almost guarantee you're going to get about a 5-10 minute wait on almost every ride. And those pretty much mean you walk right on. We walked right on to Big Thunder Mountain a couple times, I think. Other rides like, Mine Train will probably still be a little crowded, maybe like around 30 minutes have you. The closer you get to Christmas, obviously, the more crowded the parties will be. But like Hank's saying earlier on, this is a great opportunity to just kind of experience an empty Magic Kingdom while still getting some incredible entertainment options. Hank, one of your favorite things is the bottleneck and Fantasyland as you come from either the carousel past It's a Small World and Peter Pan as you go to the Rapunzel bathrooms and Haunted Mansion. You love how chaotic that area can be. And what did I say to you last week when we were there?
What, we saw like one person walking through when we walked through that space.
I could lift up my arms and spread them out. And no one would have touched them.
Yeah,
it's great. It's
the other thing too is no one's rushing anywhere.
Exactly.
It's just people walk around and explore. You don't feel like you need to take advantage of the ride times. You just get to this certain point where you're in that park on one of these nights and you're like, you know what? I'm here for whatever. I'm gonna go check out the snow, watch the parade, eat some cookies, ride a couple rides.
And so I think we should start with, we weren't going to go to the Christmas party, right? We were that day we had planned was a Monday, and we had basically said, okay, this is going to be our chill day. Like, we didn't have tickets, or you guys didn't have any tickets. I still had my annual pass, but we were just going to hang out, chill by the pool. We went to Sanaa for lunch, which was great. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Hank's wife, Erin, was like, well, maybe we should do the Christmas party. And then you were like, well, I guess that's still an option. And then I kind of got on board, and our friend Gary got on board, and then, your brother was kind of, he wanted to do it, but he was like, I don't know, I don't have to do it. Well, Hank and I went to the front desk because we had to get some Magical Express stuff sorted out, and a manager got called over, and he's like, hey, you guys going to the parks today? We're like, no, not today. We're thinking about doing the Christmas party, but we're not sure. And he's like, oh, you got to do it. You got to do it. And we're like, yeah, we know it's great. But he's like, we're like, yeah, well, there's one guy in our party, and he's just on the fence, and we'd rather just hang out with him if he doesn't fully want to do it. And he's like, the manager at Coronado Springs, his name was Aaron, says, if you convince him, you come back here and you buy those tickets, I'm going to give you 3 fast passes each.
6?
Well, he started with 3. Remember?
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he said 3 fast passes each, so that you can use it before you go to the party or whatever. And we're like, okay, we're gonna convince him right now. We convinced him, came back, and then he's like, well, he came back. We're like, yeah, we're gonna buy the tickets. So we bought the tickets for everyone, and he's like,
I do remember this now. Yeah.
so I'm actually going to give you each 6 fast passes. Because here's the deal. It's 3:30. It's 3:15 now. Your tickets for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party let you get into Magic Kingdom starting at 4 o'clock. The park closes to the general public at 6, and then a party officially starts at 7, right? So there's 3 hours, 4 to 7, where you're in the park and you're granted access to the park with your Very Merry Christmas Party ticket before the party actually opens, which I think is a great use of your time. Yeah. I mean, you think about price and stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Sure. That's a big saver. But you're still in the park with, regular day guests. He said you should head over there now, because once you get there at 4, there's only going to be fast passes available from 4 to 6, because 6 is technically when the park closes. When the park technically closes, fast pass is done for the day. He's like, so I challenge you to ride 6 rides in 2 hours. Come back, let me know if you did it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get back to him in time. I visited the next day. Hank, you guys visited, just weren't able to see him. But we want to say, Aaron, if you're listening.
Yeah, Aaron, if you're listening.
We were able to do it. 6 rides, 6 fast passes in 2 hours. We went with
no VIP tour.
We went with Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger Spin, Space Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Peter Pan, Big Thunder, and Splash Mountain.
And we had like 10 minutes to spare after we got off Splash Mountain.
And we had 10 minutes to spare. That's awesome.
Could have given us a 7th, Aaron.
But that's
better luck next time.
But as great as that was, that's not going to affect our opinions of the Christmas party.
I honestly didn't. Come to think of it, I mean, that was fun. It was exhausting. But the reason that we had a great time that night was because of what happened from 7 to 11.
Exactly. It is great. It's a little chaotic getting in just because everyone tends to show up around the same time. And you have to kind of wait in 2 lines. One to get into the park and then one to get your wristband, because the wristband is kind of how they weed out people who don't have a ticket to the Christmas party. But then you're ushered in and you can go through the back entrance they have, which is kind of crowd control, behind Main Street USA. There's cast members there already handing out cookies for you. You're starting to get into the mood. Everyone's happy. Treat cast members are always happy because that's not their normal job, right? They pick up those shifts. So they're like, this is great. I just stand here and hand treats to everyone and I get paid to do it. So they're always happy. That always elevates the party, I think, for me, whether it's not so scary at Halloween time or this during Christmas. I think that's just an added bonus.
Yeah, gosh, how many cookies did we end up with by the end of the night, Connor?
Well, let's do that. One of the main offerings is at the Halloween party, you were able to go to trick-or-treat locations. Here, it's kind of the same. They have treat locations, but it's with Christmas cookies, drinks, and other treats. So there's several treat locations throughout the Magic Kingdom. Adventureland, this was the last one we went to, but at Tortuga Tavern, which is kind of by Pirates of the Caribbean, they had snowman soft pretzels and snow cones. The snow cones.
How many pretzels did you have?
We don't have to name, say exact. I had four snowman soft pretzels. I just kept going back in line. They were great. A little mustard, very tasty. The snow cones. The snow cones are cool because, yes, it's a Christmas party, but you're still in Florida. It's still hot. Those are always cool. Liberty Square, the ginger molasses cookie and eggnog. The eggnog is horrific. I hate eggnog. Hank, you're an eggnog guy. You like the eggnog, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. The cookie was not bad. Fantasyland at Pinocchio's, they had a variety of holiday favorites, and they literally handed you one of every cookie. Did they not?
Yeah, they did.
And
just go there first if you're short on time. You get all 4 cookies.
Absolutely. And then Tomorrowland, they had Snickerdoodle cookie and hot chocolate.
That was my favorite Snickerdoodle one.
Which one was it where they were like, hot chocolate or Fanta? And I was like, oh, I didn't understand.
That was Pinocchio Village.
That was Pinocchio there. I didn't understand. Fanta was a holiday treat, but it hit the spot. It hit the spot.
It was in like a little wine tasting glass.
It was funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well done.
So that is cool. I would say I thought the Snickerdoodle was good, but the cookie that they handed you when you go into the park from the first time, it was Mickey shaped. It had red
Oh, you like that one?
Sprinkles on it.
Yeah.
I like it just because I was like, oh wow, this is cool. Like they're handing these out immediately.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones.
Best looking cookie.
Best looking. It's one of those ones where it's like the ones you get from the grocery store. So they're not like the best, but I ate it all. It was good.
Kind of reminds me of like one of those like shortbread runs, really crumbly.
Exactly. Yeah. Crumbs everywhere.
Very buttery type of situation. Yeah.
Crumbs everywhere.
Like a shortbread type of thing.
Some of the entertainment offerings, I think, for many, that's some of the biggest appeal for this party. You're able to see certain entertainment things that aren't offered during regular hours of the park. They have a couple shows in front of the castle that are cool. We didn't get to see those this time. They have a couple like, what would you call it? Dance parties, one in Storybook Circus, one at Rocket Tower Plaza, which is in Tomorrowland. They have 2 there, actually. One's like a acapella thing. One's just a dance party. And then the Rager at Cosmic Rays that we went into.
That's why you were laughing.
Club Tinsel was something else. Was something else.
Yeah, they were on a different planet.
Dancing polar bears. Dancing
reindeer on their hind legs.
I don't know.
Very, very scary.
I don't know what those reindeer were drinking.
Fog machine rolling in
Oh my gosh, there's fog everywhere. It was crazy. It was crazy. But then I think the 2 big, draws for people are Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time Parade, which takes place twice, 8:30 p.m. and 11. And it follows the normal parade route, Frontierland. It starts and then goes all the way down Main Street, USA. I think this parade is great because it's a solid, 35 minute parade of full floats. It's a long parade. Yeah. There's some great, like the Nutcrackers in there. You see some characters you don't always see, some interstitial like floats that you don't regularly see, but I think it's pretty good.
I liked it. I thought it was cool that it felt like you got the full suite of Disney characters. Whether or not it felt super full, especially when you're saying it's like 30 minutes long. If you stand there for a half hour, you're going to be like, yeah, I think I just saw every character.
And I think we had a couple people in our group that were like, you're not really parade people. They're like, yeah,
that was Erin.
Yeah,
that was my wife.
That was your wife. And I think at the end of it, she was like, I'm glad I did that. That was
she
cool.
was like, that was great.
Yeah.
People love that parade. The music's fun. It is fun.
The music, Christmas time is Christmas time?
Once Upon a Christmas Time at Christmas.
Once Upon a Christmas Time at Christmas. Yeah, I'm sure I've already played that. That was the song that probably led into the segment, I would assume. And then
I hope so.
I love holiday wishes. I think the fireworks that go off every night at 10 during these parties, they're great, and they're especially great because you get those perimeter fireworks. At the very beginning, at the very end, it basically launches fireworks all around you, and it's so bright. It's incredible. I would rank it next to the holiday overlay at Illuminations that they do at Epcot. But this is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool.
And meanwhile, it's snowing on Main Street while this is happening, too. We didn't even say that yet. Gosh.
All the Christmas decorations, of course, are already there. But once the party starts, it starts snowing on Main Street. And that's just a cool touch. I don't think you can walk past that and not smile, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I thought the other I didn't notice this until I got back, but, of course, I put up some photos on social media, that type of thing, when we were down there walking up Main Street. I had a friend, a colleague of mine that used to work, I don't know what he did, some type of production out west, some production company stuff in Los Angeles. He was like, oh, yeah, I worked with snow like that before. He's like, but was it actually snowing there? I was like, no, it was 77 degrees. He goes, oh, well, it was like blown. That did not look like the artificial snow that we used. He's like, was it the soap? And I was like, yeah, it was like the soap. He's like, okay, they're definitely using some special formula because the way that stuff floats around is way different than like what I'm used to working with. Because I saw that and I was like, it's snowing there. That's crazy.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a neat little anecdote to see like someone that studies that type of thing go, the snow there actually floats like real snow.
You fooled the expert.
Yeah.
You fooled the expert.
But and then you come to if you look at it, you look at the pictures, you look at the parade, you think back to your videos and just walking up and down that street, you go, you know what, I can buy that. It feels very authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I love every time there's decorations added to Main Street because I always feel like Main Street, I think Main Street is the best part of the parks, just in general. I think I could spend hours there, and I have. But when there's snow on it and there's the decorations and the lights, it takes an already incredible place and makes it even more special, which is very, very hard to do. But Disney has done that with the Snope, the snow soap, the Snope.
There we go.
And, it'll start to be the busier times, and these parties won't be going Thanksgiving week or Christmas week just because there's too many people to turn away from the Magic Kingdom. But as times get busier, this is a great option to buy a ticket and ride the rides that you actually want to ride. If you get in at 4 and you stay for the whole party until 12, that's almost a day's worth of being there. And
for sure.
You can do some serious damage if what you want to do is go in and ride as many things as possible.
Yeah, for sure. That you'll get your money if you're looking at it just from a pure time in the park, amount of rides you can ride. Sure, you're going to recoup the cost on that ticket right away.
And it is a little more expensive than an average one-day park ticket, but I personally think it's definitely worth it. I think it's definitely worth it if you've been many times as well, right? What we're looking at.
Yeah, Connor, you're a perfect use case. You've got a free ticket to the park. Is it worth it when you can go the next day for free? And if you're saying yes, then hell yeah.
Right. So I have an annual pass, so I'm able to go, whenever I want. And the day before I went for quote unquote free on my annual pass. The day after I went for quote unquote free, and I still ponied up the $99 for this to go, and I got my money's worth. And there's very few things that I pay $100 for that I feel like I get my money's worth, but this is it. Mostly because I had 10 dozen snowman soft pretzels, but that's besides the point.
Oh, that's why you're eating it. You're making sure Take this, Bob Iger.
It's just something that you don't get to experience, every day. Every theme park day, I should say. This is
I agree. That's why if you set your expectations, and you'll get your money's worth. I'm not saying set them low, but like understand why you're going to that park. Are you going for the rides? Are you going for the cookies? Are you going for the experience? Or are you just experiencing everything?
I will say, I think the best part were the gluten-free cookies. I think they were tasty and adequate, and they got the job done.
And they were dust.
To my defense, I remember distinctly going to the party and getting it was either the gluten-free or the non-hypoallergenic cookies, and
vegan,
maybe the vegan cookies, and being like, I don't know why I tried it, but I was like, wow, this tastes pretty good. This is actually pretty good. And this year I was like, hey, go up and ask for the gluten-free cookies. They're supposed to be pretty good. We got them. They were not good. They were.
Or maybe it's because
bad.
our friend went up and said, hey, can I have the gluten cookie?
Can I have the gluten? And the guy was like, the gluten-free? And he was like, oh yeah, I need that. I can't.
Yeah, I need that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that wasn't worth it. But
can I have the celiac cookie?
They also have special merch if you want to commemorate it some other way, and they like to appeal to annual pass holders. That's how they get me in the park to buy that ticket, so that I can go in and buy a T-shirt that says I was at an event that my annual pass didn't get me into.
And I paid for this.
And I paid for this freaking shirt. The Christmas party overall, I think, is just a great way to get into the mood, but also to just get a new appreciation for Magic Kingdom. If that's what you want to do, you can go in, experience the park with low waits, experience the park in a new way, have some cookies, see the parade, see the fireworks. Snow on Main Street is absolutely incredible. It's just a great thing to experience Magic Kingdom in this new sort of light. So for me, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, 1000% worth it. This year especially seems really, really great. They're just firing on all cylinders with it.
Thumbs up from this guy too.
Thumbs up for Hank as well. Well, that's going to do it for us this week then. As always, thank you so very much for listening to the show. Be sure to rate and review us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show with someone you think might enjoy it. If you liked what you heard today, then you've been listening to the WDW Opinion Podcast. If, by chance, you didn't like what you heard, then you've been listening to Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. For Hank, I'm Connor. We'll see you real soon.